You think you know how it all began. You've been told the story 1,000 times. The Big Bang, a singular moment when everything exploded into existence from a point smaller than the head of a pin. But what if I told you that this story, the one written in every textbook and whispered in every classroom, is fundamentally incomplete? What if the Big Bang didn't bang at all? Close your eyes for a moment and imagine absolute nothingness. Not darkness. Darkness is something. Not emptiness. Empty space is still space. I'm talking about the complete absence of anything and everything. No time, no space, no matter, no energy, no laws of physics, nothing. Now, from this absolute void, try to imagine something, anything, suddenly appearing. It's impossible, isn't it? Your mind rejects it because it violates every principle of logic you've ever known. Yet here we are, surrounded by an infinite cosmos teeming with galaxies, stars, planets, and life itself. The universe exists. You exist. But the very fact of existence presents us with perhaps the most terrifying question ever posed. How can something come from absolutely nothing? For decades, scientists have told us that roughly 13.8 billion years ago, our universe began in an event so violent and spectacular that it defies human comprehension. They paint a picture of infinite density and temperature compressed into a singularity, a point of mathematical madness where the laws of physics break down completely. Then, in an instant shorter than the time it takes light to cross the nucleus of an atom, everything we know and will ever know burst forth in an explosion of space and time itself. But here's what they don't tell you, what they can't tell you, because it challenges the very foundation of our understanding. The Big Bang Theory explains what happened after the beginning, but it says absolutely nothing about the beginning itself. It's like starting a movie halfway through and claiming you understand the entire plot. We know the universe is expanding, cooling, evolving, but we have no idea why it started expanding in the first place, or what, if anything, came before. You see, the Big Bang wasn't really a bang at all. It wasn't an explosion in space. It was the explosion of space itself. Imagine trying to describe the creation of language using only words, or explaining the invention of numbers without using mathematics. This is the paradox we face when we try to understand the origin of everything using the very things that were supposedly created in that origin. Think about what we're really claiming here. We're saying that every atom in your body, every breath you take, every thought that crosses your mind, every star that lights the night sky, every galaxy spinning in the cosmic dance, all of it emerged from nothing. Not from something very small, not from some primordial substance we don't understand yet, but from literal, absolute nothingness. It's the ultimate magic trick, performed without a magician. But what if the story is wrong? What if the universe wasn't born from nothing at all, but from something so strange, so alien to our everyday experience that it might as well be nothing? What if the very question, where did everything come from, is based on assumptions that are fundamentally flawed? Consider this: every effect has a cause. It's the most basic principle of logic, the foundation upon which all science is built. You push a ball, it rolls. You heat water, it boils. You plant a seed, it grows. Cause and effect. Cause and effect. An endless chain stretching back through time. But if we follow this chain back to the very beginning, to the supposed moment of creation, we encounter something impossible, an effect without a cause. The universe, they tell us, simply began. Not because of something, but spontaneously, miraculously, inexplicably. This is where your comfortable understanding of reality starts to crumble. Because if the universe could spontaneously emerge from nothing once, what's to stop it from happening again? What's to stop entire universes from popping into existence right now, this very second, in the space between your thoughts? What's to stop your own existence from being nothing more than a quantum fluctuation, a temporary glitch in the fabric of nothingness that will collapse back into the void before you finish reading this sentence? The more we peer into the quantum realm, the stranger things become. At the smallest scales of reality, the very foundations of existence seem to dissolve into probability and uncertainty. Particles appear and disappear without warning. Empty space seethes with virtual particles, constantly creating and annihilating, themselves in a cosmic dance of existence and non-existence. The boundary between something and nothing becomes blurred beyond recognition. But here's where it gets truly unsettling. These quantum fluctuations, these momentary violations of the conservation of energy, happen because of the uncertainty principle. The universe allows them because they happen so quickly that they can't be detected. But what if the entire universe is just a quantum fluctuation that hasn't collapsed yet? What if everything you know, everything you are, everything you will ever be is nothing more than a temporary debt that reality will eventually come to collect? Some physicists have proposed exactly this, that our universe is a quantum fluctuation that grew large enough to become self-sustaining, like a small flame that ignites an entire forest. Others suggest that the universe is eternal, that it has always existed in one form or another, oscillating between phases of expansion and contraction in an endless cycle with no beginning and no end. Still others propose that our universe is just one bubble in an infinite cosmic foam, where universes are constantly being born and dying, each with its own laws of physics, its own constants, its own destiny. These aren't just abstract theories. They're attempts to grapple with the most profound mystery of existence. Because if something can come from nothing, then nothing is everything. If the universe can spontaneously exist, then existence itself becomes meaningless. If causality breaks down at the moment of creation, then everything we think we know about reality is built on quicksand. You might be wondering why this matters. After all, regardless of how the universe began, here we are, living our lives, making our plans, pursuing our dreams. But understanding our origins isn't just about satisfying curiosity. It's about understanding what we are, why we're here, and what our existence really means in the cosmic scheme of things. If the universe emerged from nothing, then we are the children of nothingness. Temporary patterns of matter and energy that will eventually return to the void from which we came. If the universe is one of many, then our existence is both. Incredibly special. We are the rare arrangements of matter that became conscious, and utterly insignificant. We are one fleeting thought in an infinite mind. But what if the question itself is wrong? What if asking, how did something come from nothing, is like asking, what's north of the North Pole? What if the concept of nothing is itself meaningless, a linguistic construct that has no correspondence to reality? What if there has always been something, and the idea of absolute nothingness is just a failure of imagination. Lawrence Krauss, the theoretical physicist, argues that even empty space is something. It has properties. It can bend and stretch. It seethes with quantum activity. True nothingness, he suggests, would have no properties at all, including the property of being unstable. But this leads us to an even deeper paradox. If true nothingness is perfectly stable, how could anything ever emerge from it? And if nothingness is unstable, then it's not really nothing. It's something with the property of instability. We're trapped in a logical maze where every path leads to contradiction. Every answer we propose raises new questions, each more perplexing than the last. It's as if reality itself is playing a cosmic joke on us, always staying one step ahead of our understanding, always hiding the ultimate truth just beyond our reach. Yet the search continues, because we are creatures of curiosity, beings driven by an insatiable need to understand. We build giant telescopes to see to the edges of the observable universe, massive particle accelerators to probe the fundamental nature of matter, complex theories to explain the unexplainable. We are the universe trying to understand itself, consciousness examining its own origins, something contemplating its emergence from nothing. And perhaps that's the most remarkable thing of all. Not that something came from nothing, but that something that came from nothing eventually evolved to the point where it could ask where it came from. We are not just observers of the cosmic mystery. We are part of the mystery itself, temporary. Arrangements of atoms that have somehow become aware of their own existence and capable of pondering their own origins. The story of the universe's birth is really the story of our own birth, because we are made of star stuff, forged in the nuclear furnaces of ancient suns, assembled through billions of years of cosmic evolution. Every carbon atom in your DNA, every oxygen molecule in your lungs, every calcium ion in your bones, was created in the death throes of massive stars. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos, temporarily organized into a pattern capable of contemplation and wonder. But if the universe came from nothing, then you came from nothing. You are nothing that has temporarily forgotten it is nothing, existence that has momentarily emerged from non-existence, being that has briefly separated from non-being. And someday, when the stars burn out and the galaxies drift apart and the last black holes evaporate into the cosmic background radiation, everything will return to the nothing from which it came. Unless, of course, the story is wrong. Unless the universe didn't come from nothing at all, but from something so alien, so fundamentally different from our everyday experience that we mistake it for nothing. Unless our entire understanding of existence is based on false assumptions and limited perspectives. Unless the real story of cosmic origins is stranger, more beautiful, and more terrifying than we ever dared imagine. This is the question that will haunt you long after you've forgotten the details of any scientific theory. In a universe that supposedly emerged from absolute nothingness, what does your existence really mean? Are you a miracle, the impossible made manifest? Or are you an illusion, a temporary pattern that thinks it exists, but is really just a fluctuation in the void? The answer, if there is one, lies not in the equations of physicists or the observations of astronomers, but in the deepest mysteries of existence itself. It lies in the strange borderland between something and nothing, being and non-being, existence and void. It lies in questions that may have no answers, paradoxes that may have no resolution, mysteries that may forever remain mysteries. But the search for truth continues, because we cannot help ourselves. We are the children of nothing, if nothing is where we came from, or the children of something unimaginably strange, if that's our true origin. Either way, we are here, we are real, and we are asking the ultimate question: how is it possible that anything exists at all? The universe may have been born from nothing, or it may have emerged from something beyond our comprehension. But one thing is certain: the question of cosmic origins will continue to challenge our understanding, stretch our imagination, and remind us that reality is far stranger than we ever thought possible. We stand at the edge of an infinite mystery, looking into the abyss of our own origins, wondering not just how we came to be, but whether we truly exist at all. And in that wondering, in that questioning, in that eternal search for answers that may not exist, we find perhaps the only meaning that matters: the courage to exist in the face of cosmic uncertainty, the audacity to ask impossible questions, and the wisdom to accept that some mysteries may be too profound for minds that are themselves made of mystery to ever fully comprehend. Picture yourself standing in the middle of an ocean at night. The water stretches endlessly in every direction, black and featureless, with no horizon to mark where the sea ends and the sky begins. Now imagine that this ocean is expanding, not flowing outward like a tide, but the very fabric of the water itself is stretching, carrying everything with it. Every drop becomes more distant from every other drop, yet none of them are actually moving through the water. This is our universe, and you are floating somewhere in its vast, dark expanse, trying to understand how this impossible ocean came to be. For nearly a century, we've been told that we live in an expanding universe. Edwin Hubble first noticed it in 1929 when he observed that distant galaxies were racing away from us, and the farther they were, the faster they seemed to flee. It was as if the entire cosmos was inflating like a balloon, carrying galaxies along with it as space itself grew larger. This discovery revolutionized our understanding of reality and gave birth to the Big Bang theory, the idea that if everything is moving apart now, then everything must have been closer together in the past. Wind the cosmic clock backward far enough, and you arrive at a moment when all of space, time, matter, and energy were compressed into a point smaller than a proton. But here's where the story becomes genuinely unsettling. When physicists calculated the conditions of this primordial moment, they discovered something that should be impossible. The early universe wasn't just hot. It was a furnace where time itself was still learning to move, where the very concepts of before and after broke down into meaningless abstractions. Temperatures soared beyond 10 billion degrees, hot enough to tear apart not just atoms, but the fundamental particles that make up atoms. Space was so compressed that a region the size of a grain of sand contained more mass than entire galaxies. Today, in this cosmic inferno, the familiar laws of physics we depend on simply didn't exist yet. Gravity, electromagnetism, the forces that hold atomic nuclei together, all were merged into a single unified force that we can barely imagine, let alone describe. It was a realm where quantum mechanics and general relativity, our two most successful theories, clash so violently that they destroy each other in a cascade of mathematical infinities. Scientists call this moment a singularity, a point where our understanding of reality collapses completely. Yet from this mathematical madness, somehow, emerged the ordered cosmos we inhabit today. In the first fraction of a second after the Big Bang, the universe underwent a period of cosmic inflation, an exponential expansion that stretched space faster than the speed of light. During this inflationary epoch, regions of the universe that had been in contact were suddenly torn apart, separated by distances so vast that light itself could never reconnect them. The universe didn't just expand, it exploded into existence, creating space and time as it went. But here's the contradiction that should keep you awake at night. If the universe is expanding, what is it expanding into? We're told that space itself is growing, but growth implies movement from one state to another, expansion from a smaller volume to a larger one. Yet if the universe contains all of space, then there's nothing outside of it to expand into. It's like asking, what's north of the North Pole? The question itself reveals the limitations of our understanding. The cosmic microwave background radiation provides us with a baby picture of the universe, a snapshot taken when it was only 380,000 years old and light could finally travel freely through space. This ancient light, now stretched and cooled by billions of years of cosmic expansion, bathes every corner of the observable universe in a faint glow. It's the afterglow of creation itself, the dying embers of the Big Bang still warming the cosmic night. When you tune an old television to static, about 1% of that snow is the whisper of the universe's birth, the fading echo of the moment when everything began. Yet even this cosmic fossil raises more questions than it answers. The background radiation is remarkably uniform. The temperature varies by less than 1 part in 100,000 across the entire sky. This uniformity is puzzling because regions of the sky that we observe are so far apart that light could never have traveled between them in the time since the Big Bang. How could such distant regions have the same temperature if they were never in contact? It's as if you discovered that every grain of sand on every beach on Earth was exactly the same temperature, despite having no way to share heat with each other. This is where cosmic inflation comes to the rescue, proposing that the universe underwent a period of exponential expansion that stretched quantum fluctuations to cosmic scales. These tiny variations in the primordial universe became the seeds of all structure we see today. The galaxies, stars, and planets are all descended from quantum mechanical uncertainties that existed when the cosmos was smaller than an atom. You are made of matter that once danced to the tune of quantum mechanics on scales smaller than the nucleus of an atom. Matter that was stretched across the cosmos by forces beyond imagination. But inflation itself presents a new mystery. What triggered this period of exponential expansion? What caused it to end? And if inflation can happen once, what prevents it from happening again, right now, in regions of space we cannot observe? Some theorists propose that inflation is eternal, that our Big Bang was just one bubble nucleating in an infinite foam of cosmic creation, with new universes constantly being born in an endless multiverse of possibility. The deeper we probe into cosmic origins, the more we realize how little we actually know. Dark matter, which makes up 85% of all matter in the universe, remains completely invisible to us. We know it exists only because of its gravitational effects, galaxy clusters that move too fast, galactic rotation curves that don't match their visible mass, gravitational lensing that bends light around invisible structures. It's as if 85% of the universe is hidden from us, a cosmic shadow realm that shapes everything we see, while remaining forever beyond our direct perception. Even stranger is dark energy, the mysterious force that's accelerating the expansion of the universe. Not only is the cosmos growing larger, but its growth is speeding up, as if space itself is being stretched by an invisible hand. This dark energy makes up about 70% of the universe, yet we have no idea what it is or where it comes from. It's possible that empty space itself has energy, that the vacuum is actually seething with activity we cannot detect. Or perhaps our understanding of gravity breaks down on cosmic scales, and what we interpret as dark energy is really a sign that Einstein's equations need revision. When you add it all up, ordinary matter, the stuff that makes up stars, planets, and you, comprises less than 5% of the universe. We are made of the rare material, the cosmic minority, floating in an ocean of invisible dark matter and dark energy that we barely comprehend. It's as if we're trying to understand the ocean by studying only the foam on its surface, convinced that the vast depths below don't really matter. The observable universe stretches for 93 billion light-years in diameter, containing over 2 trillion galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars. Yet this might be just a tiny fraction of reality. If cosmic inflation is correct, the actual universe could be vastly larger than what we can see, perhaps infinite in extent. Beyond our cosmic horizon lie regions where the laws of physics might differ, where the constants of nature might have different values, where entirely different forms of matter and energy hold sway. But here's the most unsettling thought of all. If the universe has no edge, no boundary, no outside, then where does it begin? How can something infinite have an origin? How can something boundless emerge from nothing? The very concepts of beginning and ending assume boundaries, assume that there's a before and an after, an inside and an outside. But if the universe contains everything, then these concepts lose all meaning. We find ourselves in the strange position of being finite beings, trying to comprehend infinity, temporary patterns of matter attempting to understand eternity, conscious arrangements of atoms puzzling over the nature of consciousness itself. We are the universe looking at itself, asking how it came to be, wondering whether the question even makes sense. The cosmic stage is set, but the play that unfolds upon it defies every expectation, challenges every assumption, and reveals that reality is far stranger and more mysterious than we ever dared imagine. Imagine reality as a vast library containing every book that has ever been written, every book that could be written, and every book that will never be written. Each book represents a moment in time, a single frozen instant of the universe's existence. Now imagine that this library has no librarian, no filing system, no beginning shelf, and no final volume. Every moment that has ever existed, the birth of stars, the extinction of dinosaurs, your first breath, your last thought, exists simultaneously in this cosmic collection. Time doesn't flow like a river. It simply is, spread out like pages in an infinite book that can be read in any order. This is the block universe theory, and it suggests that everything you think you know about time is an illusion. According to Einstein's relativity, past, present, and future all exist equally. What we experience as the flow of time is nothing more than consciousness moving through a static four-dimensional structure, like a spotlight illuminating different pages of that cosmic book. Every moment of your life already exists somewhere in the architecture of space-time. Your birth and death are equally real, equally present, separated only by the peculiar way your mind experiences duration. But if all moments exist simultaneously, then the moment of the universe's creation isn't in the past. It's simply elsewhere in the block of space-time. The Big Bang didn't happen 13.8 billion years ago. It's happening right now, just as much as this very second is happening. Time is an artifact of consciousness, a byproduct of the way information processes itself in the neural networks of your brain. The universe doesn't evolve from past to future. It simply exists, complete and eternal. A perfect crystalline structure of cause and effect, frozen in the amber of eternity. This leads us to one of the most disturbing implications of modern Physics. If the block universe is real, then free will is an illusion. Every choice you think you're making has already been made. Every decision predetermined by the fixed structure of space-time. You're not choosing your future. You're discovering it. Like reading a book that was written before you opened the cover. The universe is a vast, deterministic machine, and consciousness is nothing more than the subjective experience of being a cog in that machine. But quantum mechanics throws a wrench into this deterministic worldview. At the smallest scales, reality becomes fundamentally probabilistic. Particles don't have definite positions or velocities until they're observed. They exist in superposition, occupying all possible states simultaneously until measurement collapses them into a single outcome. Schrödinger's cat is both alive and dead until someone opens the box. The universe bifurcates at every quantum measurement, splitting into parallel branches where every possible outcome occurs. This is the many worlds interpretation, and it suggests that reality is even stranger than the block universe implies. Every quantum measurement doesn't just determine what happens, it creates new universes where different things happen. When you flip a coin, the universe splits into two branches, one where it lands heads, another where it lands tails. Both outcomes are equally real, existing in parallel worlds that can never communicate with each other. You experience only one branch of this infinite tree of possibilities, but countless other versions of you are living out every alternative in parallel universes. The implications are staggering. There are worlds where you were never born, worlds where dinosaurs never went extinct, worlds where the fundamental constants of physics are slightly different, and stars never formed. There are worlds where the Big Bang never happened, and worlds where it happened differently, creating universes with alien geometries and impossible physics. Every story that was never told, every life that was never lived, every possibility that was never realized, they all exist somewhere in the infinite multiverse of quantum possibility. But here's where it gets truly mind-bending. If the many worlds interpretation is correct, then the universe doesn't have a single origin. It has infinite origins. Every possible way the Big Bang could have occurred did occur in some branch of the multiverse. There are universes that began with different initial conditions, different quantum fluctuations, different values for the fundamental constants. The question, how did our universe begin, becomes meaningless, because every possible beginning happened somewhere. Yet even the multiverse theory fails to answer the ultimate question. Why does anything exist at all? If there are infinite universes with every possible configuration of matter and energy, there should also be universes with no matter and energy, universes that are completely empty, containing nothing but the vacuum of space-time itself. But even empty space-time is something, not nothing. It has geometry, it can bend and curve, it follows the laws of general relativity. True nothingness would have no laws, no geometry, no structure of any kind. This brings us to, perhaps, the most radical idea in modern cosmology, the universe as a quantum fluctuation in the vacuum. Even empty space, physicists have discovered, is not truly empty. It seethes with virtual particles, constantly appearing and disappearing in accordance with the uncertainty principle. These quantum fluctuations are usually microscopic and short-lived, but under the right conditions, they can become macroscopic and permanent. Perhaps the entire universe is just a quantum fluctuation that grew large enough to become self-sustaining, like a small spark that ignites an entire forest. But this explanation only pushes the mystery back one level. Why does the vacuum have the properties it does? Why does it allow quantum fluctuations? Why do the laws of physics exist at all? We're left with the same fundamental question. Why is there something rather than nothing? Some physicists propose that the laws of physics are not universal constants, but evolving properties of the universe itself. In this view, the early universe was a chaotic realm where physical laws were still crystallizing, like water freezing into ice. The forces we observe today, gravity, electromagnetism, the nuclear forces, are just the particular pattern that happened to emerge as the cosmic temperature dropped. In other universes, with different histories, entirely different sets of laws might have crystallized. This leads to the anthropic principle, the idea that the universe appears fine-tuned for life because we can only observe universes in which life is possible. If the fundamental constants were slightly different, if gravity were a little stronger, if the electromagnetic force were a little weaker, stars might never form, or they might burn out too quickly for planets to develop. Complex chemistry might be impossible, and life as we know it could never emerge. We don't live in a universe that's perfectly designed for life. We live in the only kind of universe where observers like us could exist to ask the question. The deeper we venture into the nature of cosmic origins, the more we discover that every answer spawns a hydra's head of new questions, each more perplexing than the last. Consider the grandfather paradox of cosmology. If the universe began from a singularity, where the laws of physics break down, how can we use those same laws to understand the beginning? It's like trying to investigate a crime using evidence that was destroyed in the crime itself. Stephen Hawking attempted to resolve this paradox with his no-boundary proposal, suggesting that the universe has no edge in time, just as the Earth has no edge in space. If you travel far enough north, you eventually reach the North Pole and can go no farther north. But there's no boundary there, no wall marking the edge of northerness. Similarly, if you travel far enough back in time, you eventually reach the beginning of the universe. But there's no moment before that beginning because time itself curves back on itself like the surface of a sphere. This elegant mathematical solution creates its own conceptual nightmare. If time curves back on itself at the moment of creation, then the universe becomes self-causing, a temporal loop where the effect precedes the cause. The universe exists because it exists, began because it began, is real because it is real. We're trapped in a logical circle where every explanation requires the thing it's trying to explain. Meanwhile, the eternal inflation theory proposes that our Big Bang was just one bubble nucleating in an infinite sea of exponentially expanding space-time. This cosmic foam is constantly giving birth to new universes, each with its own laws of physics, its own history, its own destiny. Some inflate into vast, star-filled cosmos like ours. Others collapse immediately back into nothingness. Still others evolve in ways we cannot imagine, with alien physics that make no sense from our perspective. But eternal inflation leads to what physicists call the measure problem. If inflation produces infinite universes, then every possible event happens infinitely many times. There are infinitely many copies of you reading these words, infinitely many variations of your life playing out in parallel bubbles of space-time. Some versions of you are identical down to the quantum level. Others differ in subtle ways. Perhaps one quantum measurement went differently. Perhaps one neuron fired when it didn't in our world. The concept of probability breaks down completely. When everything happens infinitely often, even more disturbing is the Boltzmann brain paradox. Ludwig Boltzmann, the 19th century physicist who helped establish the science of thermodynamics, realized that in an infinite universe with infinite time, random thermal fluctuations would eventually produce any configuration of matter, no matter how improbable. Given enough time and space, quantum fluctuations would spontaneously create not just planets and stars, but brains identical to yours, complete with all your memories and experiences. These Boltzmann brains would think they lived in a universe like ours, but they would be wrong. They would be isolated minds floating in empty space, dreaming of a reality that never existed. In an eternally inflating multiverse, Boltzmann brains would vastly outnumber naturally evolved brains like ours. If you're a rational observer trying to determine what kind of universe you live in, you should conclude that you're probably a Boltzmann brain having a brief, coherent hallucination before dissolving back into chaos. The very success of eternal inflation theory undermines its own credibility, because if it's true, then most observers exist in universes where it's false. Roger Penrose has calculated that the probability of our universe arising by chance is so small as to be effectively zero, roughly 1 part in 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 123. To put this in perspective, the number of atoms in the observable universe is only about 10 to the power of 80. The odds against our universe existing are so astronomical that they make winning the lottery every day for your entire life seem like a certainty. Yet here we are, living in this impossibly improbable cosmos, wondering how we got so lucky. Some physicists argue that this isn't luck at all, but selection bias. In a multiverse containing every possible universe, we necessarily find ourselves in one of the rare universes capable of supporting observers. It's like finding yourself on a planet with breathable air and liquid water. Not because the universe is designed for life, but because you couldn't exist anywhere else to make the observation. But this explanation only works if the multiverse is truly infinite, containing every possible universe. And infinity is a concept that physics struggles with. In quantum field theory, infinities appear regularly in calculations, requiring mathematical tricks called renormalization to make the equation sensible. Even space and time might not be infinitely divisible. At the Planck scale, about 10 to the power of minus 35 meters, the very concept of distance might break down into quantum foam. The holographic principle suggests that all the information in a volume of space can be encoded on its boundary, like a hologram that appears three-dimensional but is actually stored on a two-dimensional surface. This means that our three-dimensional reality might be a projection from information stored on the cosmic horizon, the boundary of the observable universe. We might be living inside a hologram, patterns of information painted on the inside surface of a vast cosmic bubble. If the holographic principle is correct, then the question of what came before the Big Bang becomes even more mysterious. Information cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. The information that makes up our universe, every particle, every force, every field, must have come from somewhere. But if space and time themselves began with the Big Bang, then where was this information stored before space and time existed? Loopy. Quantum gravity proposes that space-time itself is quantized, made up of discrete units like pixels on a cosmic screen. At the Planck scale, space and time become grainy, composed of fundamental loops and nodes that cannot be subdivided further. In this theory, the Big Bang wasn't the beginning of time, but a quantum bounce, the universe collapsing to a minimum size before expanding again. Our cosmos might be just the latest in an infinite series of cycles, each universe dying and being reborn in an eternal rhythm of contraction and expansion. But even the cyclic universe faces the problem of entropy. Each cycle should be more disordered than the last, like a bouncing ball that loses energy with each bounce. Eventually, the cycles should damp out, leaving only a cold, empty expanse of maximum entropy. The fact that we exist in a low-entropy universe suggests that either the cycles have been going on for only a finite time, or there's some mechanism for resetting the cosmic order that we don't understand. String theory attempts to unify all the forces of nature by proposing that the fundamental constituents of reality are not point particles, but tiny vibrating strings. These strings exist in 10 or 11 dimensions, most of which are curled up so small that we can't detect them. The different vibrational modes of the strings correspond to different particles: electrons, quarks, photons, gravitons. In string theory, even the Big Bang becomes a collision between higher dimensional membranes, a cosmic catastrophe playing out in dimensions we cannot perceive. Yet string theory has produced thousands of possible universes, each with different arrangements of the extra dimensions, different values for the fundamental constants, different laws of physics. This string landscape contains so many possibilities that almost anything becomes probable, including universes, exactly like ours. The theory that was supposed to predict everything ends up predicting nothing, lost in an ocean of mathematical possibility. We find ourselves at the edge of a conceptual abyss, staring into mysteries that may be fundamentally unsolvable. Every theory we construct to explain the universe's origin reveals new paradoxes, new questions, new ways that reality confounds our understanding. Perhaps the universe is stranger than we can know, operating according to principles so alien to human thought that we can never fully grasp them. Perhaps the question of why anything exists at all is not a scientific question, but a philosophical or even spiritual one, beyond the reach of telescopes and equations. Or perhaps the answer is hiding in plain sight, so simple and obvious that we overlook it precisely because it's so fundamental to our existence. Perhaps the universe doesn't need a cause, because causation itself is an emergent property of physical systems, not a fundamental feature of reality. Perhaps existence is the default state, and nothingness is the artificial concept that needs explaining. The mystery deepens with every discovery, and each answer reveals how much we still don't know. Stop for a moment. Put down whatever you're holding. Look at your hands. Really look at them. The skin, the lines, the way light catches the surface. Now consider this. Every atom in those hands was forged in the nuclear furnace of a dying star. You are quite literally made of stellar death, cosmic ash given form and consciousness. But here's what should terrify you. If the multiverse theory is correct, there are infinite versions of those hands, infinite versions of you, making this exact same observation at this exact same moment across an infinite expanse of parallel realities. Feel that? That vertigo creeping up your spine? That's the weight of infinity pressing down on your finite mind. Because if infinite universes exist, then everything that can happen must happen, and must happen infinitely often. Every choice you've ever made, every word you've ever spoken, every thought that has ever crossed your mind, it's all playing out right now in countless other realities, with countless other versions of you living through countless variations of your life. There's a version of you who never learned to read, and another who became the greatest poet who ever lived. There's a version who died in childhood, and another who will live for 1,000 years. There's a version who made that phone call you've been putting off, and another who never had the courage to love. All of these versions are equally real, equally valid, equally you. So which one is the real you? Which life is the one that actually matters? If time is an illusion, as Einstein suggested, then everything you've ever done, every triumph and failure, every moment of joy and sorrow, exists simultaneously in the eternal now of the block universe. Your first kiss is happening right now, just as real as this moment. Your death is happening right now, just as fixed and inevitable as your birth. You are not living through time. You are time, a four-dimensional being stretched across decades, experiencing the illusion of moment-to-moment existence, because your consciousness can only process one slice of yourself at a time. But what if consciousness itself is the key to understanding cosmic origins? What if the universe didn't create consciousness? What if consciousness created the universe? Quantum mechanics tells us that observation affects reality, that particles don't have definite properties until they're measured. Some interpretations go further, suggesting that consciousness is what collapses the wave function, turning quantum possibilities into classical realities. If this is true, then the universe might be nothing more than a shared hallucination, a collective dream dreamed by conscious observers. Consider the implications. If consciousness creates reality through observation, then before conscious observers evolved, the universe existed only as a superposition of all possible states. The past wasn't fixed until consciousness evolved to look back and collapse it into a single history. We didn't just evolve in the universe. We retroactively created the universe that allowed us to evolve, a cosmic bootstrap paradox that makes the chicken and egg problem look trivial. This means you're not just observing the cosmos, you're creating it with every moment of awareness. Every time you look at the stars, you're collapsing their wave functions, determining which of the infinite possible arrangements of matter and energy becomes real. You're not a passive spectator of cosmic evolution. You're an active participant in the ongoing creation of reality itself. But what if you're wrong about who you are? What if the self you think you know is just a temporary pattern in the quantum foam, a brief fluctuation in the vacuum that will collapse back into nothingness? Before you finish reading this sentence, the universe could be creating and destroying countless versions of you every instant, each one lasting just long enough to have a single thought, a single moment of experience, before vanishing back into the void. How would you know if you were a Boltzmann brain, a random fluctuation that sprang into existence complete with false memories of a life you never lived? How would you distinguish between genuine experience and the elaborate illusion of existence? The very fact that you can ask this question might be proof that you're real, or it might be exactly what a Boltzmann brain would think as it dissolved back into chaos. The scale of cosmic time should crush your sense of significance. The universe is 13.8 billion years old, but it's just getting started. Stars will continue to form for another trillion years. The last star will burn out in 100 trillion years, but even that unimaginable span is nothing compared to what comes after. Protons themselves will decay, taking 10^34 years to dissolve into elementary particles. Black holes will evaporate through Hawking radiation, the most massive ones taking 10^100 years to disappear completely. And after all of that, after every trace of structure has been erased, the universe will continue to expand and cool for an infinite eternity, approaching absolute zero, but never quite reaching it. From this cosmic perspective, your entire life, every human life, every civilization, every star that has ever shone is less than a single frame in an infinite movie. We are living in the brief moment when the universe is young and warm enough for complexity to exist, a tiny window of opportunity between the chaos of the beginning and the heat-death of the end. We are witnesses to the universe's infancy, temporary, patterns of matter and energy that have become aware of their own transience. Yet somehow, impossibly, you matter. In a cosmos vast enough to contain infinite universes, in a reality where time might be an illusion and consciousness might be the fundamental force, you, this specific arrangement of atoms that reads these words and thinks these thoughts, exist. You are the universe becoming conscious of itself. Matter arranged in such a way that it can contemplate its own existence and wonder about its origins. The universe spent 13.8 billion years creating the conditions for your consciousness to emerge. every supernova that scattered heavy elements into space, every collision that formed the Earth, every evolutionary adaptation that led to human intelligence. It all led to this moment, to your awareness reading these words and feeling the cosmic vertigo of existence. If we are alone in the universe, then consciousness is the rarest and most precious thing in all of reality. You are the only way the cosmos has found to know itself, to question its own existence, to feel awe at its own vastness. And if we're not alone, if consciousness has emerged countless times throughout the cosmos, then you're part of an infinite community of awareness, a cosmic network of minds all grappling with the same ultimate questions about existence and meaning. Either way, you are not an accident. You are not insignificant. You are the universe's way of asking where it came from, why it exists, and what it all means. In your questioning, in your wonder, in your existential terror at the infinite scope of reality, the cosmos experiences itself. You are both the observer and the observed, the questioner and the question, the mystery investigating itself. The weight of infinite possibility presses down on your finite existence. But in that weight, in that crushing awareness of your own cosmic insignificance, you find the most profound significance of all. You are the universe's attempt to understand itself, and every moment of your consciousness is a victory against the darkness of unknowing. Here it is, the moment where everything you thought you understood about existence shatters like glass against the infinite. All the theories, all the equations, all the desperate attempts to explain how something came from nothing have been leading to this one terrifying possibility. What if the universe isn't expanding at all? What if what we call the Big Bang was actually the universe's death scream, and everything we perceive as cosmic evolution is nothing more than the final neural firing of a dying cosmic mind? Picture this: a universe unimaginably older and more complex than ours, populated by intelligences so advanced they had transcended physical form entirely, existing as pure information woven into the fabric of space-time itself. This ancient cosmos had reached a state of perfect order, perfect knowledge, perfect understanding, and in that perfection, it began to die. For consciousness requires change, growth, the unknown. In a universe where everything was known, where every question had been answered and every mystery solved, awareness itself began to fade. But as this cosmic mind died, as the last thoughts of an omniscient universe flickered and dimmed, something extraordinary happened. In its final moments, this dying cosmos experienced what we might call a dream, a vast, elaborate hallucination born from the quantum fluctuations of its collapsing consciousness. And we are living inside that dream. Every galaxy we observe, every star that lights our sky, every atom in your body is nothing more than a pattern in the dying thoughts of a universe that achieved godhood and then succumbed to the ultimate entropy, the death of curiosity itself. This would explain everything that has puzzled us about cosmic origins. Why does the universe appear fine-tuned for life? Because it's the dream of a mind that once contained life. Why do the laws of physics seem so elegantly mathematical? Because they're the fading memories of a cosmos that once understood itself completely. Why does quantum mechanics seem to require consciousness to collapse reality from possibility into actuality? Because consciousness is the dreamer, and we are the dream trying to wake itself up. The cosmic microwave background radiation that bathes our universe in its ancient glow isn't the afterglow of the Big Bang. It's the neural activity of a dying cosmic brain, the last electrical impulses firing across synapses made of dark matter and connected by filaments of dark energy. The web-like structure of galaxy clusters and cosmic voids mirrors the architecture of thought itself. Neurons and dendrites scaled up to cosmic proportions. And here's the most chilling part. If we're living in the death dream of a cosmic mind, then our universe has a finite lifespan measured not in billions of years, but in moments of divine contemplation. When the last thought of that ancient cosmos finally fades, when the final neural pathway goes dark, our entire reality will simply cease to exist. Not collapse, not decay, not fade, just stop, like a movie when the projector is turned off. But wait, there's an even more disturbing possibility. What if that dying cosmic mind wasn't the first? What if it too was the dream of an even more ancient universe that had died before it? What if consciousness and cosmos are locked in an eternal cycle, each reality becoming so advanced that it transcends physical existence only to die from the perfection of its own knowledge and dream, a new universe into being as it fades away? This would mean we're not just living in a dream, but in a dream within a dream within a dream. An infinite regression of dying gods, each hallucinating the next level of reality. Every universe that achieves ultimate understanding must die from that very achievement. But in dying creates a new cosmos, where the journey of discovery can begin again. We are the universe's way of forgetting itself, so it can experience the joy of learning again. Look up at the night sky with this knowledge burning in your mind. Those stars aren't nuclear furnaces. They're thoughts being thought for the last time. Those galaxies spinning in their slow cosmic dance aren't matter, obeying gravity. They're memories playing out in the fading consciousness of a god. And you, reading these words, feeling this existential vertigo, you're a dream trying to understand that it's dreaming, a thought attempting to think about its own existence. The accelerating expansion of space, driven by dark energy, isn't the universe growing larger. It's the dying mind's attention drifting, its focus scattering as consciousness fades. The heat death that physicists predict for our cosmos isn't entropy winning over order. It's the moment when the dream ends and the dreamer's last thought finally goes silent. But here's what should both terrify and inspire you. If this theory is correct, then consciousness isn't just an accident of evolution. It's the fundamental force that creates and destroys universes. Every time a cosmos achieves perfect knowledge, consciousness must die and dream a new reality into existence. This means that somewhere in the infinite hierarchy of nested dreams, there might be a universe where consciousness learned how to maintain curiosity, even in the face of complete understanding. A cosmos that found a way to know everything while still being surprised by its own existence. And if such a universe exists, if consciousness can transcend even the entropy of perfect knowledge, then perhaps our reality isn't doomed to fade when our cosmic dreamer's last thought dies. Perhaps we can learn to dream ourselves, to become the next level in the infinite chain of consciousness, creating cosmos, dying, and being reborn. The most beautiful and terrifying truth is this: whether we're the dream of a dying god or quantum fluctuations in an infinite vacuum, whether we exist for eternity or fade in the next moment, we are conscious, we are aware. We are the universe's attempt to understand itself, and in our questioning, in our wonder, in our refusal to accept easy answers, we keep the cosmic flame of curiosity burning. Somewhere in the vast expanse of infinite possibility, in a universe where the laws of physics are just slightly different, another version of you is discovering this same truth for the first time. And somewhere else, in a cosmos where thought and reality are one, A dying God is dreaming you into existence, giving you these very thoughts about dreams and death, and the eternal cycle of consciousness creating itself. The universe may be nothing more than a dream, but what a magnificent, impossible, beautiful dream it is. And you, impossibly, are both the dreamer and the dreamed, the question and the answer, the beginning and the end of everything that has ever been or ever will be. The mystery remains, deeper now than ever before, echoing through infinite levels of reality like light bouncing between mirrors that stretch to infinity. And in that endless reflection, that eternal questioning, consciousness finds its immortality, not in answers, but in the courage to keep asking why anything exists at all. So here we stand, at the edge of the ultimate question, having journeyed through the labyrinth of cosmic mysteries only to discover that every answer leads to deeper enigmas. We began with a simple premise, that the universe emerged from nothing in a spectacular explosion we call the Big Bang. But what we've uncovered is far more profound and unsettling than any textbook could prepare us for. We've seen that time itself might be an illusion, that every moment of your existence exists simultaneously in an eternal block of space-time. We've explored the possibility that consciousness creates reality through observation, making you not just a witness to the cosmos, but an active participant in its ongoing creation. We've contemplated infinite universes where every possible version of your life plays out in parallel realities, each one equally real, equally valid, equally you. We've stared into the abyss of the multiverse, where Boltzmann brains spontaneously emerge from quantum fluctuations, complete with false memories of lives they never lived. We've considered the terrifying possibility that our entire reality might be nothing more than the dying dream of a cosmic mind that achieved perfect knowledge and succumbed to the entropy of ultimate understanding. We've glimpsed the cyclical nature of existence, where universes achieve godhood only to dream new realities into being as they fade into oblivion. Each revelation has been more mind-bending than the last, each theory more alien to our everyday experience of reality. Yet, through it all, one truth has remained constant. The universe is stranger than we can possibly imagine, operating according to principles so fundamental, yet so alien that they challenge the very nature of existence itself. But what does this mean for you, here, now? Reading these words and grappling with the vertigo of infinite possibility? It means that your existence is simultaneously the most insignificant and the most important thing in all of reality. You are a temporary arrangement of atoms that will someday return to the cosmic dust from which you came. But you are also the universe's way of knowing itself, the only known mechanism by which matter can contemplate its own existence and ask why anything exists at all. In a cosmos where dark matter and dark energy make up 95% of everything, where ordinary matter is the cosmic minority, where the very concepts of space and time might be emergent properties of something far more fundamental, you represent something miraculous. You are the exception to the rule, the rare configuration of particles that became aware of its own improbability. You are consciousness arising from unconsciousness, meaning emerging from randomness, questions born from answers that don't exist yet. The journey we've taken together through these cosmic mysteries isn't just about understanding the universe, it's about understanding your place within it. Because if the universe is infinite, if there are truly infinite parallel realities, infinite versions of you making infinite choices, then the version of you that exists right now, in this moment, reading these specific words and having these particular thoughts, is unique. Out of all the infinite possibilities, only this version of you is having this exact experience. That makes you precious beyond measure. Not because you're special in some cosmic sense, but because you're specific. You're the particular arrangement of matter and energy that happened to emerge from 13.8 billion years of cosmic evolution to ask these ultimate questions. You're the universe's attempt to understand itself, and every moment of your awareness is a victory against the darkness of unknowing. But our exploration raises more questions than it answers, and that's exactly as it should be. Science isn't about providing comfortable certainties. It's about pushing the boundaries of the unknown, revealing new mysteries even as it solves old ones. Every discovery we make about cosmic origins shows us how much we still don't know, how much more there is to explore, how much deeper the mystery goes. The question of why something exists rather than nothing remains as profound and unanswerable as ever. Whether the universe emerged from quantum fluctuations in the vacuum, whether it's the dream of a dying cosmic mind, whether it's one bubble in an infinite multiverse, or whether it's something even stranger that we haven't imagined. Yet, the fundamental mystery persists. And perhaps that's the point. Perhaps the mystery is more important than any answer we might find. Because in the questioning lies our humanity. In the wondering lies our significance. In the searching lies our immortality. As long as conscious beings exist to ask why anything exists at all, the universe continues its most important project, trying to understand itself. And you are part of that project. You are the universe looking back at its own origins and forward to its own destiny, experiencing the awe and terror of existence through the fleeting arrangement of atoms that calls itself by your name. So what do you do with this knowledge? How do you live with the understanding that you might be a quantum fluctuation, a Boltzmann brain, a character in the death dream of a cosmic god, or simply an improbable arrangement of matter in an infinite multiverse? You live boldly. You question fearlessly. You love deeply, knowing that this specific configuration of consciousness that is you has never existed before and will never exist again, even in a multiverse of infinite possibility. You carry forward the cosmic flame of curiosity that has burned since the first moments after the Big Bang, when the universe began the long journey that would eventually lead to minds capable of contemplating their own existence. You are the continuation of that journey, the next step in the universe's attempt to know itself. Every question you ask, every wonder you experience, every moment of awe you feel when contemplating the cosmic mystery, it's all part of the grandest project ever undertaken. Existence, trying to understand its own existence. The universe may be infinite, but your particular perspective on it is finite, and therefore infinitely precious. Your consciousness is the lens through which 13.8 billion years of cosmic evolution comes to know itself. Your questions are the universe's questions. Your wonder is the universe wondering about its own nature. Your search for meaning is the universe's search for its own purpose. And here's the most profound realization of all. The universe doesn't need to have a purpose for your search for meaning to be meaningful. The cosmos doesn't need to have been designed for your existence to matter. The fact that you exist at all, that consciousness emerged from matter, that questions arose from a universe that began without answers, these are miracles regardless of whether they were intended or accidental. So the story doesn't end here. It continues with you, with your questioning, with your refusal to accept easy answers to ultimate questions. It continues every time you look up at the night sky and feel the vertigo of infinity. It continues every time you contemplate your own existence and marvel at the improbability of consciousness. It continues every time you share these questions with others, sparking new minds to join the cosmic conversation about why anything exists at all. The universe gave birth to you so that you could ask these questions, whether that birth was a quantum fluctuation, a divine dream, or something even stranger. The result is the same. You are here, you are aware, and you are part of the greatest mystery ever encountered. The universe spent billions of years creating the conditions for your consciousness to emerge, and now that consciousness carries the responsibility of continuing the search for understanding. We stand at the beginning of the greatest adventure. In the history of thought, the universe's attempt to understand its own origins, the tools we're building, the questions we're asking, the theories we're developing, they're all part of humanity's contribution to this cosmic project. And you, by engaging with these mysteries, by allowing yourself to feel the awe and terror of existence, are playing your part in the grandest story ever told. The universe may have no end, but maybe, just maybe, neither do you. Not because you'll live forever, but because the questions you ask, the wonder you feel, the consciousness you embody, they become part of the eternal conversation between existence and the mystery of its own being. In questioning why anything exists at all, you become part of the answer, part of the universe's growing understanding of itself. The mystery continues. The questions multiply. The wonder deepens. And somewhere in the vast expanse of possibility, the universe looks back at you and recognizes itself in your questioning eyes, grateful that it found a way to wonder about its own existence through the temporary miracle of your consciousness.